Lock your doors.
More from the police on Kentucky's I-75 shooting suspect. Plus, a guide to tomorrow's presidential debate. And in sports, Ohio football gets its first win. Newswatch starts right now. Today, a warning from the state fire marshal putting into effect an open burn ban for counties in southeast Ohio. Welcome to Newswatch. I'm Alex Mwali. This comes as the region faces a severe drought. 22 counties in southeast Ohio, including Athens, Hocking, Meigs, Perry, and more, are being ordered a ban on all open burning because of extreme drought conditions. Examples of outdoor activities that are prohibited include lighting or maintaining any fire of any type at any location, smoking, non-electric cooking, use of fireworks, campfires, bonfires, live fire training events, and use of any flame effects. Now I'm going to toss it over to lead forecaster Emily Dietz to tell us a little bit more about when we could see an end to this drought. Emily, are we going to see any rain coming up anytime soon?
Unfortunately, not for the next couple of days. And even though we had a lot of rain this past Friday, we are still in these extreme drought conditions. And behind me, we are looking at the U.S. drought map for the state of Ohio. And you can see that Athens and a lot of southeast Ohio is in this D4, D3 extreme drought area. And a lot of this is due to this high pressure system that we see really dominating over the area. Now, this is a very strong, very powerful high pressure system, which means we have really nice blue clear skies, but that also means we're not going to be seeing a lot of rain anytime soon. And this low pressure we see to the north of us is what brought us a lot of that rain on Friday. And we're taking a look at what's going on down south because that may be bringing us a little rain this weekend, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. But for what we're seeing right now in southeast Ohio is we have, again, those beautiful clear skies, but it's about 79, so definitely on the warmer side of things. And again, that humidity is not high at all. And across the country, we are seeing very similar conditions to ours and even warmer, especially across the Great Plains and Midwest area. And while those do say 90s, we're not expecting to be in the 90s, but we're going to be close to it. So later this week, we're looking at conditions to be in the upper 80s. So we are far from summer just now. Currently in Athens and around the area, we are seeing the upper 70s and into the 80s, and we're going to be seeing these conditions start to decrease as we go into our overnight hours. So tonight we'll see another chilly night with that 41-degree low and a beautiful night to go stargazing. So you have those lovely clear skies, and again, if you want to go stargazing out, beautiful night, but definitely bring a jacket because it's going to be a bit chilly.
Thank you, Emily. The Ross County Airport is receiving $2.5 million in federal funds to rehabilitate its runway. In addition to Ross County, Pickaway County and Rickenbacker County airports will also receive funding. The total number of investments between the three airports come out to almost $9 million. The Ross and Rickenbacker airports have plans to rehabilitate their existing paved runways, and the Pickaway County Airport will use about $500,000 to construct a new hangar for aircraft storage. People who had a chance to explore some of the rich history of Athens went on a Heritage Square tour. The tour is made up of established landmarks throughout the city. On Saturday, at least 30 people walked around uptown, learning more about historic locations. One of those was Mount Zion Baptist Church. The church was a place that escaped slaves could rest while headed to freedom in Canada. Mount Zion's doors closed in 2000 because of structural issues and asbestos. But one man still remembers the church as it was before it closed.
Kind of sad in a way that, because I remember how vibrant it was and people singing and the service, and it was beautiful.
But new life is coming to Mount Zion. The church is undergoing renovations and is expected to reopen as a Black cultural center in 2026. And there were some furry friends out and about looking for their forever home at the second annual Pet Palooza. All kinds of cats and dogs were at the Athens County Fairgrounds on Sunday for the event that featured things like puppy painting and kitten cuddle tent. Now, other booths taught the importance of proper pet care. One of these was Miss Millie, a station for kids to get comfortable around dogs.
I think once a child is old enough to have a dog around, they need to know how to treat them and not pet them too rough.
The event gave people a chance to play with animals and hopefully find these foster pets a forever home. Applications to adopt are online through the Athens County Humane Society and Friends of the Shelter Dogs. For more information, please visit athenshumane.org. Another big discount retailer is seeing some financial troubles. Today, Big Lots announced that it is filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The retailer blamed several factors for the move, including high inflation and interest rates. As part of filing, private equity firm Nexus Capital Management will take over nearly all of Big Lots stores and business operations. The 57-year-old company has secured over $700 million in fresh financing to keep operating and to pay employees and vendors. Big Lots is in process of closing roughly 300 of its 1,400 stores across the United States and at least 8 stores in Ohio. And the company said more store closures could be coming. Schools in central Kentucky have been urged to remain on high alert as they search for a shooting fugitive. Investigators say at least a dozen vehicles were struck by bullets and 5 motorists were wounded. Laura Aguirre has more on the search and the pressure to find the gunman.
Kentucky law enforcement agencies know who he is, but not where he is. Interstate shooting fugitive Joseph Couch remains on the run into a third day. The 32-year-old former Army reservist has evaded capture since Saturday afternoon. That's when, say authorities, he fired several shots from an AR-15 rifle into multiple vehicles that were traveling along I-75, about 65 miles south of Lexington.
I know the citizens of our community are stressed to the max, and law enforcement is working tirelessly.
We've had phone calls, we've had tips, and that's exactly what we want you to continue to do.
What authorities do know is that Couch legally purchased his AR-15 and about 1,000 rounds of ammunition shortly before the shootings. His victims, investigators believe, were chosen at random. Couch's vehicle, the rifle, and the ammo were later found in a densely wooded area, but Couch is still described by law enforcement as armed and dangerous. Stories are emerging of a shaken community from those caught in the shooting's chaotic aftermath, like frightened band students whose bus sat idle on I-75 for 3 hours Saturday.
There's just a general level of concern and anxiousness and really just eagerness to get the bus moving.
And players at a nearby paintball field had to race with staff into lockdown.
Everyone was scared. Everyone was just calling their family.
My message would be, that we would ask that he would give himself up. And we're not going to quit until we do lay hands on him.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Couch is up for 5 counts of attempted murder and 5 counts of assault in the first degree. And $10,000 reward is being offered for any information leading to his arrest. Kids under 14 should not be placed in Ohio's 3 juvenile lockups. That's one of 26 recommendations from Ohio Juvenile Justice to Ohio's Department of Youth Services for potential improvements. The recommendations come after a series of reports that 40% of kids return to youth services or end up in adult prisons after they're released. The group said there are better options for children under 13 than juvenile detention centers, such as alternative placement. Another recommendation was that nonviolent first-time offenders go to one of 11 community correction facilities instead of a youth prison. 3 simple digits, 988. That's the number for the Suicide Crisis Helpline. Experts say its impact has been felt nationwide. In the 2 years since the 988 lifeline switched to the shorter number, officials say more than 10 million texts, calls, and chats have been answered. Monica Johnson, director of the 988 Crisis Coordinating Office, says many don't know they can dial 3 numbers to get one-on-one mental health help. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, calls are answered by counselors in more than 200 crisis contact centers across the U.S.
It's a mental health crisis, people experiencing depression, anxiety, people having concerns about substance misuse, and et cetera. So it's for any type of crisis.
The hotline expanded last year to include services for Spanish speakers and LGBTQ+ youth and young adults. And for people who are deaf or hard of hearing, video calls in American Sign Language are available. This National Suicide Prevention Week, the Biden administration is announcing a rule to expand insurance coverage for mental health and substance use disorders. Under the rule, private insurance plans should provide the same level of coverage for mental health as they do physical health. That would mean adding more providers to insurance plans. The White House says that up to 40% of American adults have anxiety or depression, yet mental health care treatments are often out of reach, with people needing to go out of network and pay out of pocket. The rule enforces a 2008 federal law that required equal coverage for mental health. Coming up, why homeowners across the U.S. are feeling unprepared for extreme weather conditions. And an award-winning actor dies at 93.
We are in for a hot, dry week down here in Southeast Ohio, but we may be seeing some rain this weekend. Be sure to stay tuned to Newswatch to find out more.
Lawand is a deaf Kurdish boy learning sign language for the first time. The result is transformative. A love letter to the power of connection and community. Name Me Lawand on POV.
Tonight at 10 on WOUB.
In the beginning, there have always been those of us looking for stories.
This is a huge moment.
I feel like there's nothing around that can stop me.
It's your being, it's who you are.
We need to do something to make a change.
I know that there are people like me out there.
We need to have a voice.
It's what you do next that matters.
You start to discover a deeper part of yourself.
My whole world changed instantly.
Meet Rita Moreno,
I wanted to be a movie star from the time I saw my first picture.
who found her good times only after some really difficult ones.
I was often treated like a sex object.
Enjoy Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony winner Rita Moreno, just a girl who decided to go for it.
Very early on, I realized that getting attention was a very nice thing.
On American Masters.
Friday at 9 on WOUB.
Good evening from a beautiful day down here in Southeast Ohio. Right now we're seeing some really nice clear skies, very blue outside, and also it's about 79, so on the warmer side of things and also very dry. We are still in the midst of a drought down here in Southeast Ohio and in a burn ban, and we're not going to see that up anytime soon. We're also not going to see these warm conditions leave us anytime soon. Across the U.S., we're seeing temperatures even into the 90s, especially in that Great Plains, upper Midwest area. And while we won't be in the 90s, we'll still be in the upper 80s, and things will still be pretty warm as a lot of this warm air continues to move from the west over towards the east. Now, a lot of the reason that we're in that burn ban, in that drought, is due to this high pressure really surrounding our area. Now, this is a very strong system that is pushing away a lot of the low pressure that's surrounding us, a lot of that moisture and that precipitation as well. And even taking a look at what's going on over out west, we don't really have any big systems beginning to form that would move across and provide us with some precipitation. But we are taking a look at what's going on down south, and I'll come back to that here in just a second. But taking a look at that cloud coverage as well, that high pressure is continuing to push away a lot of these clouds, and here you can really see that system that I was just talking about. But tonight we'll see that overnight low of 41, and again, since we have those clouds moving out of the area, we're going to see some really nice clear skies. So a beautiful night to see those stars, but it's going to be chilly as well. And since we don't have that clouds to act as a layer of insulation, that all of that radiation that we get during the day that warms us up is just going to leave back out into the atmosphere. Now, about that system I was talking about earlier, where we saw a lot of this cloud development, is a hurricane going on down south in the Atlantic Gulf. Now, this hurricane is anticipated to move up into the U.S. as the week continues on. And here's the current predicted hurricane track. And we can see we do have this larger area of uncertainty up to the north as the system continues, because again, it's still up in the Gulf, but we're expecting it to move up into Louisiana and up over to the west of Ohio. But we will be seeing a bit of rain off of that system coming up this weekend. So we're not anticipating any major thunderstorms, but definitely a little bit of rain. But until we reach this weekend, we're still going to be seeing this high pressure hang out around us. And tomorrow it's going to be another hot day. We're looking at highs into the 80s, a beautiful sunny skies. And again, those overnight conditions are still going to drop down since we don't have those clouds outside. And as we move into Wednesday, that high pressure still dominates, and we begin to see this hurricane move up into the area. And that's what we see when we take a look at what's going on this weekend, where we see those cloudy and shower-like conditions outside.
Thanks, Emily. Homeowners across the U.S. are saying they are not financially ready for the extreme weather ahead. According to a new survey from Bankrate, 7% of Americans don't have home insurance. The 15% that has insurance says they would go into debt to cover their deductible if their property was damaged. Only 40% say they've renewed their insurance for the season ahead. Insurance analysts say homeowners need to make sure their policies are sufficient and up to date in case of severe conditions. Beloved actor James Earl Jones dies at 93. Jones's agent Barry McPherson confirmed Jones died in his home Monday morning. Jones captured audiences' hearts on the stage and on the screen. Some of his most iconic roles include the voice of Mufasa in Disney's Lion King and Darth Vader in the Star Wars series. Jones' work earned him multiple awards, including the National Medal of Arts.
From this really old and tired playbook, right, where there's no floor for him in terms of how low he will go, and we should be prepared for that.
There had been a dispute between the two campaigns over whether the microphones would be muted when the candidates weren't speaking. Now, sorry, we are switching stories here, and we're entering to speak about the debate coming up tomorrow morning. Now, tomorrow night, my apologies. Now, Kamala Harris's team wanted the microphones to be open the entire time to hear some of the back and forth between the candidates. Donald Trump's campaign wanted the debate rules to remain what they were this summer and have the microphones muted when the candidates were not speaking. Now, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump will square off in their first and potentially only presidential debate tomorrow in Philadelphia. In that 90-minute debate, both candidates will have 2 minutes to answer questions and 2 minutes to respond to each other's answers. There will be no audience in the debate hall, and both of them will be standing the entire time. No notes are allowed on the debate stage. And as this election season is kicking into high gear with races at every level from school boards to the White House, now candidates are going head-to-head, putting their policies and personalities on full display for voters. Reporter Michael Yoshida joins us live with more on what to be looking for and how debates can shape an election.
Debates and their memorable moments historically are critical to candidates' successes and failures.
The 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump's matchup changed the 2024 race entirely.
If we finally beat Medicare.
Now, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are facing off for the first time.
For the typical viewer who is watching this with some degree of how am I going to vote and I'm trying to inform myself, whereas Kamala Harris coming from on policy and personality, whereas Donald Trump coming from on policy and credibility.
Frank Sesno of George Washington University says even though theatrics often replace substance, when watching any political debate, voters should
listen closely to what these candidates say about the particulars of policy, how they would pay for them, what the implications are, how far they would reach, how they would implement them.
And note how the candidates respond to each other.
The interaction between the two of them will be very important. One, for how they define themselves and they try to define the other. Two, how they deal with a difficult situation.
The debate should last around 90 minutes, which may seem like a big commitment, but Sesno says it's an investment every voter should make.
Who of these two candidates is saying something that will address the issues and the problems that I and my family are confronting, and who seems most credible and most relatable on that level?
We are just one day away from the high-stakes presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump, and the polls still show that there is no clear leader in this race. Now, where there's football, there's tailgates, and it's important to, but it's important to stay in the know about how to celebrate safely this season. The Ohio Department of Commerce says tailgaters should brush up on Ohio's underage and open container laws. The department reminds Ohioans that it is illegal to drink alcohol in public unless you are somewhere with a liquor license. In the same vein, public use of any cannabis products is a minor misdemeanor. So Bobcat fans should keep that in mind going into week 3 of this football season.
Bobcat fans, stick around. Next in sports, Ohio football rebounds from their loss to Syracuse to upset South Alabama. Check out the highlights and hear from head coach Tim Albin, plus more after the break.
Vice President Kamala Harris.
We will move forward and take on the biggest issues facing our nation.
Former President Donald Trump.
With your vote, the American dream will come roaring back.
The candidates face off as voters worry about the economy, conflicts at home and abroad, and the future of the country.
Tuesday at 9 on WOUB.
I want economic opportunity to be spread across this land.
This is a man who was so big that reached so far and made it, and then let the whole thing crumble.
You would often say, I don't want to be the first president who's lost a war.
The definitive biography of LBJ on American Experience.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
This is a matter of life and death.
Oh, good.
Tell us everything.
Something's not right.
Could be worse.
These two crimes are connected.
That's changed everything.
Wrapped your eyes in murder again.
Needle in a haystack, right?
I trust my instincts.
I should leave this alone.
That you won't.
This year, Gridiron is back and better than ever with our 25th season. I'm your host, Haley Hollinger.
And I'm your digital host, Donovan Varney. Throughout the week, make sure to tune into our Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, and YouTube for game preview segments on the pregame huddle. If you still can't get enough high school football, check out our Instagram and TikTok for more weekly content.
And of course, we'll see you right here every Friday night at 11:30 p.m. because there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Welcome back. I'm Grant Kiefer. Look, tough first game for Ohio football, week 1 at Syracuse, but they rebounded well, and the Bobcats got their first win of the season Saturday against South Alabama. The main takeaway, it felt like this was the coming out party for the offense. Fans showed out for the home opener at Pete, and Bobcats leading 3-0 after 1. They put together a strong drive to start the second. Who else to cap it off but Anthony Tyus III? 3 touchdowns on the year for him. They're up 10-0. South Alabama, they scored a lot week 1, so you knew they were going to respond. Fluff both well. Takes it to the house, 10-10 right before half. But hey, who says the Bobcats can't run a 2-minute drill? That is Chase Hendricks taking it into the house, 17-10. Ohio still in the lead. Bobcats getting the ball to start the third. And Parker Navarro have a day. Over 200 yards in the air. He adds a touchdown on the ground. 24-10. Ohio is rolling. Fast forward, fourth quarter, South Alabama's out of timeouts. All Ohio needs is 1 first down to seal it, and they got it. You saw so many different players contribute. It's safe to say, South Alabama had a handful to deal with.
You just look at it from South Alabama's perspective. Okay, we gotta corral Trey, and we gotta know where 6 is, Coleman. And the ball got distributed, Ricky had the long run early, and Trey got enough done in there. So the ball did get spread around. I think it's going to continue to do that, and that those numbers will grow.
The quiet part of the college basketball offseason is just about over, and Ohio men's basketball just released its non-conference slate, which should present some challenges. Bobcats open the season on the road in the first game of the MAC Sunbelt Challenge against JMU. Home opener at the Convo will be November 9th against UNC Asheville, with a game the following week against Penny Hardaway and Memphis. Can't forget the Myrtle Beach Invitational either, which starts against MTSU and is part of ESPN's Feast Week. Important to mention here on the back half of the slate that the MAC Sunbelt game in February is TBD and will be chosen off RPI mid-season. Big weekend for Ohio field hockey up in Michigan as the team brought home a couple of wins, including a stunner against a Big Ten foe yesterday. Bobcats got things started Saturday afternoon against a struggling Vermont squad and capitalized, but needed overtime to do so. Sophomore Natalie LaFleur sent the Catamounts packing with a goal in the third overtime, her second on the season. The aforementioned second game also needed overtime to decide it. Bobcats facing Michigan State, and this is a nuke plan, winning it for Ohio. Fly the MAC flag, 2-0 on the weekend. Their home opener is coming up next weekend. First road trip of the year for Ohio volleyball wrapping up this weekend down in North Carolina. They took down the host High Point on Friday night. Bobcats turned around to face Mercer on Saturday as they were too much to handle. Bobcats split the weekend at 1-1. Busy weekend in Ohio athletics. If you want more Bobcats content, check out our X or Twitter account at Bobcats Showcase and go to woub.org/sports for more. Let's send it back to you, Alex.
Still ahead, are you Ohio? We break down what that means and why Generation Alpha is using the state name. Grab your sunscreen.
Mr. Ridley's been assisting with this case on a consultancy basis.
If you ruffle a few feathers, it might throw up a few leads.
No cameras, no witnesses.
This was premeditated.
This is now a murder inquiry. Let's go.
We need surveillance. We need arrest warrants. Something's not right.
I think you're too close to this, Ridley.
I don't know which side you're on.
Sunday at 8 on WOUB.
The planet is running out of time. We are the resistance.
We're expecting significant casualties.
My own daughter is among the missing.
Counter-terror will be taking command.
We will never bend to the will of terrorists. Back!
I'm just getting started.
Did you know that you can donate property to WOUB Public Media? I'm WOUB Community Engagement and Membership Manager, Sherry Russo. Donating property is a great way to support WOUB, and you may even claim a significant tax deduction. Properties in any location, condition, and format are eligible for donation to WOUB. Back taxes, mortgage balances, and deferred maintenance do not prohibit your ability to donate. Our program covers all loans, liens, commissions, and closing costs, so long as there is equity in the property. If you have a land, residential, or commercial real estate asset that's unused or costing you money, consider giving back to the station you love by donating it to WOUB. And the process is easy. Go to WOUB.org and click the Support tab to learn about property donations, along with many other ways to support WOUB.
If you have kids, I'm sure you've maybe heard them use Ohio as a way to describe something or someone. But what does it mean? See, the use stems from the meme "Only in Ohio," which is used to describe anything a little bit weird or a little absurd. Gen Alpha now uses Ohio as a put-down, using the word as slang for anything undesirable. The good news is for sensitive Buckeyes is that these types of slang are disconnected from personal experience and tend to burn out quicker. Now,
taking a look at weather tonight in Ohio, what a lovely state we live in with this beautiful weather we're having. An overnight low of 41 and some lovely clear skies to see those stars. Now tomorrow we're going to see a high of 80 and some lovely sunny skies, so I definitely get that undesirable part because this weather outside is going to be quite hot for the next couple of days, especially taking a look as we move to Tuesday and into Wednesday, especially sunny skies, a high of 89, but hopefully this weekend we'll get a little bit of a let up with some rain hopefully from Friday and Saturday, and a little bit of that lowering of those temperatures down into the mid 80s instead of the upper 80s.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Emily Dietz and Grant Kiefer, I'm Alex and Wally. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. Have a great night.